Rev up your engines!
KRO bro says, Scotty, would you ever sell your Celica? Sure, you got $1 million, you can have it. It lives in Tennessee, so you want to come pick it up, bring $1 million, and I'd take $900,000. Hey, they don't make cars like they used to, you know. What I'm waiting for is, I'm assuming at some point in time, they're going to come out with electric car conversion kits in the United States. They already have them in Europe. And my Celica is basically a Toyota Corolla with a Celica body on it. It's got the same Toyota Corolla 1.8 liter 4-cylinder inline engine, same automatic transmission, right? So I'm assuming somebody's going to come out with a kit to convert a Toyota Corolla into an electric car. And since this is a hatch, it's got a lot of room to put a battery in it. So if somebody does come up with that, I'm assuming they want the world to know so they can sell a bunch. So they want to bring me one, I'll convert the car to electricity and see what happens. That's what I'm waiting on. You never know. Maybe electric cars will fail so bad they'll never get to that level. But if it does, I'd like to convert it to an electric car just to try one out. Well, Buick launched another Ultium electric cell, GM's supposedly radical electric battery cell SUV in China for under 30 grand, but they're only selling the gasoline models in the United States. They're not selling the electric ones here yet. Maybe they're understanding that China's going to adopt electricity a lot faster than us, communist country. They can force them to do things, right? And of course, they can make them a lot cheaper in China. And maybe they want to get all the bugs out of them before they sell in the United States. Well, whatever it is, they're understanding there's obviously a better infrastructure for electric cars in China than there is in the United States. And they don't want to push a bunch of electric SUVs here and then find out they either fall apart or nobody buys the stupid things. And it's going to be under $30,000, so they would sell them if there was an infrastructure for electric cars in the United States, which is a long way to go. If they were selling nice SUVs like that for under $30,000 in the United States, the internal combustion engine actually makes more sense in the United States because people are going to buy them. They have no questions. They know that they can run. We got gasoline supply. You can go wherever you want. You don't get stranded somewhere. So maybe it's not a bad move that they're only selling these electric ones in China. Maybe they'll use China as their trial before they bring them over here. Flooding the American market with electric vehicles, as far as I'm concerned, would be a big mistake today. Without the infrastructure, you're kind of putting the cart before the horse. The horse is supposed to pull the cart, but if you put the cart in front of the horse, they're not that good at pushing them. They're only good at pulling them, right? So maybe it would be smart if they went, whoa, on the electric vehicle business and thought, hey, let's bring it in a little bit slower in the United States. Because if you sell a bunch of them and the infrastructure's not there, that'll kill them off right away. People would say, it doesn't work. I can't travel anywhere. I'm not buying another one of these stupid things, right? So they should take it slower. But of course, they're business corporations. And what are they? Most of them are dead from the neck up. They follow each other like sheep. Oh, look, they put a big fin on that car. We'll put a big fin on. Oh, look, they put a big scowling mouth on the Lexus. Let's all make cars like that now. They're just sheep. The blind following the blind. Maybe it's a good idea they're not bringing these electric things into the United States yet with Buick. Eisenmenger says, owner's manual on new cars say change the oil every 10,000 miles. Your thoughts? Yeah, because they don't care if the engine wears out, right? I'll give you a perfect example. I've had people do that. Then they take their car in when they have 90,000 miles and it's burning a quart of oil every 1,000 miles. And the dealer says, well, that's normal. They all do that. Well, they will if you don't change the oil enough. Oil is a lubricant. Clean oil lubricates great. As it gets old, it gets dirty. And we all use detergent oil. What detergent oil means that instead of the sludge and the dirt sinking to the bottom of the engine and making sludge like the old oils did that were non-detergent, the detergent oil keeps the dirt in suspension. You still got the dirt, right? So you got 9,500 mile dirty oil going up and down on the engine. You're going to wear the piston rings out. You're going to wear the bore out. You're going to wear the cams out. You're going to wear out the bearings. Everything will wear. They would love it that your car fell apart when it was out of warranty because they'll sell you another one or another engine, right? Change it every 5. Believe me. It'll last longer. I've been doing that I used to change it every 3, but then they came out with full synthetic oil, and that's perfectly good to change every 5, right? As long as you don't buy cheap oil filters. The cheap oil filters are only good for like 3,000 miles. So you're going to change your oil every 5. You still got to buy the good oil filters that filter it better. Heat Tackett says, thoughts on the Lexus LS460? Okay, Lexus makes excellent cars. As far as I'm concerned, they're overpriced. I mean, my wife's got an ES300, but I bought it for $3 grand with 65,000 miles on it, and it's 22 years old now. It still runs like a clock, right? But that said, I am not a fan of the V8 Lexuses. That's a V8. My wife's is a V6. The problem is the V8s are their luxury cars. The parts cost way too much. Give you an example. I get a brake master cylinder from my wife's 6-cylinder Lexus, $160, right? On the V8s, many of them, it's a unitized computer system. You got to buy the whole brake assembly, and they can be $1,700 just for the part. Right? And the same thing, the switches for the windows cost a fortune. It's a luxury top-of-the-line car, and the parts cost much. There's nothing wrong with the cars. They're great cars, they run, but when they finally wear out, whoop, goes your money. It is super expensive to fix. With the 6-cylinder Lexuses, hey, they run perfectly fine, they got plenty enough acceleration, and they're much cheaper to maintain and keep over time. George Strobel says, Scotty got a 2011 F-150, 90,000 miles, 5-liter V8. It rattles on startup and sometimes 25 to 30. What can I do? Those are notorious for having problems with the variable valve timing. Ford did not make their variable valve timing in those engines very well. They aren't made that well. So what you can do, if you want to fix it, you're going to have to take the engine apart, rebuild, but they have what's called a cam phaser lockout kit. You can buy a kit, pay a mechanic like me to install it. Then instead of having variable valve timing, it locks them in place like an old engine, right? You get a little bit worse gas mileage, but it'll last forever then. A lot of guys put the cam lockups on those things if they don't like that rattling, because otherwise you're going to have to rebuild the engine, spend a fortune. Omar Villalobos says, I have an '07 Honda Fit Sport. AC sometimes blows cold, sometimes hot. I've done AC, evac, and recharge. It still does the same thing. What should I do? It's a salvaged vehicle. All righty there. You probably answered your own question. It's a salvaged vehicle, right? You did the obvious and it still does it. You have electronic problems. It was probably a flooded car. Understand this. Honda makes good vehicles. Extremely complex electronics, which don't generally break much. But if a car's been flooded, all bets are off. Your air conditioning system is run by all kinds of computers and modules, right? Here's my advice. I've done it on a million cars. Get a toggle switch, some wire, and a 10-amp fuse. Directly wire power to the air conditioner clutch. Fuse, switch, battery to the compressor. That'll turn your AC system on. If that works fine, drive it that way. And the only thing you gotta watch is when you do that, make sure the fans come on in front of the AC condenser, the radiator in front of the car. If they don't, you could run another switch to the fans to make the fans come on when you turn them on, so it makes it nice cool air. The problem with all modern cars is their air conditioning systems are extremely complex electronically, and you have a salvage vehicle, you could spend a fortune. It might even need a new computer. Could be the computer drivers that turn the AC on are broken. But you can bypass it all with the switch. And on an old one like that, it's 2007, it's pushing 20 years old. You can bypass the whole system and wire it that way. Clyde, the Ghost Boy, says, Scotty, what do you think of modern Volvo? Okay, well, Volvo was bought by the Chinese years ago. They first had bought Saab, but the Swedish family, I guess it was their family crest, they said, you can use Saab name, but you can't use our crest. So instead, they went and bought Volvo. Now they own Volvo, right? Now, they claim they're only going to make hybrid and full electric cars. Who knows? Everybody lies about that crap, but they're not bad vehicles. They're actually, when the Chinese took over, they had less of the complex European high-tech garbage that broke all the time than they used to. So they're actually pretty well-made vehicles. Now, they're not cheap. Who knows what the future's going to be? Let's say they do only make electric cars. Well, they're not going to help fix the gasoline and diesel ones they sold in the past. So that's always a question you're going to have to put in your head if you're thinking about buying a new one. Guest 089 says, Scotty, please tell people the new Outlander is a Nissan Rogue rebadge. It's junk. I had one and made a trade and not even 1 year old and had 2 recalls already. A lot of companies these days are pulling crap like that. And a Toyota Supra, okay, it's a rebadged BMW sports car, right, that's made in Austria. The other Toyota sports car, the little one, it's just a rebadged Subaru. Understand what you're getting. From what I've read, I haven't personally seen it, but people in Europe tell me that Toyota sells little vans that are rebadged Fiat vans, right? Why would Toyota want to sell crappy Fiats and put their name on it? Other than, well, they probably get them cheap and they make money, so what do they care, right? So be warning, just because it's got a name, do a little research, see where it's made. See if it's a good car or not. Everybody knows the Nissan Rogues are terrible. They're horrible CVT transmissions, and Nissan doesn't make that great products anymore. They did back in the 80s and 90s, but the French company bought them out years ago, and now they're having a big fight back and forth, and then even Mitsubishi's involved in the 3 of them together, and it's just a mess. Miles said, Scotty, OEM motor mounts or aftermarket? I got an aftermarket for my Toyota truck. Well, I'm not a big aftermarket fan because motor mounts hold your motor in place. They have to be perfectly made the right size. If one's a little bit off, crooked, starts vibrating, or if they're made wrong and they're too hard, you'll get vibration. Motor mounts do one thing. They absorb vibrations. The original cars didn't have motor mounts. The motor's bolted to the frame. So you're going down the road, you feel every vibration, right? So they put metal and then rubber and then metal, and the rubber took the vibrations out. You're really better with OEM because a lot of the aftermarket stuff is garbage, doesn't fit right, vibrates, and it's such a pain changing motor mounts. You really want to do it right in the first place. I got bitten in the rear end too many times by customers saying, well, I got these motor mounts online on eBay. Can you put them on? You put them on. They said, well, what's wrong? I said, well, I bolted them in. They are bolted in correctly. There they are. They're vibrating because they weren't made perfectly. And all you have to be off is a few thousandths of an inch, and that's enough to make it vibrate or sit sideways. And of course, if it sits sideways, then the drive shafts won't be perfectly level, and then it'll vibrate the drive shafts. Better to stick to OEM, really. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.